I want to start this episode with some data because sometimes you need to see the numbers before you can feel the urgency of the conversation. So, Black women started 2025 with an unemployment rate of 5.4%. They ended 2025 at 7.3%, the highest rate in 4 years. To put that in perspective, that's equivalent to what white women experienced during the worst moments of the Great Recession. One labor economist put it really simply that the labor market that Black women are living in right now is what white women would consider to be the worst job market they've ever seen. And here's what makes it worse. It's not just that the numbers went up, it's who got hit the hardest. College educated Black women saw one of the sharpest 1-year employment drops in 25 years. Black women were losing jobs at more than 3 times the rate of all other women. And by December, the average Black woman who was unemployed had been looking for more than 7 months. 7 months of looking for a job, okay? Now, I share this with you not to cause anybody to spiral or freak out, but because this is the backdrop for a conversation that I think we need to have about a skill gap that is making a hard situation harder. And the skill gap is that a lot of us do not know how to ask for help. So welcome back to the Humaning Well podcast. My name is Amber Cabral, and this is March. It's March 2026, which means that I am spending this month on topics that I think women especially need to hear about. And though I'm focused on women, these are also topics that are critical for men too. So today, we're going to talk specifically about asking for help, why we don't do it, why sometimes we do it really badly when we do it, and what it would look like for us to do it well. So the thing about that unemployment data that I just shared with you, the job cuts were real, the policy changes are real, the rollback of the spaces where a lot of Black women built careers, like the federal government in the United States, it's real, right? I'm not going to minimize any of that. All of it is awful. But I've been thinking about what we could do or what we weren't doing or how we need to move differently. And what happens when you're navigating a market like this, right? Where the landscape is completely shifted, completely, just without your permission or even awareness. And what I keep coming back to is a few things, but one is the moments when we most need to lean in and ask other people for support, whether that's through introductions or referrals or opportunities. When we need to ask for help, we are often not doing it well or feel the least equipped to do it. And part of that, I think, is because we were never really taught how. I'm going to get to how this shows up for me because, as I've told you before, when I'm talking to y'all, I'm talking to myself. Okay, it's not just me. But essentially, I think that women were taught to figure it out. We have been taught to be the resource, to be the person that other people call, to not really need things in ways that are visible or inconvenient. And I think that conditioning, which a lot of us absorbed as kids, like we probably don't even remember learning it, it's showing up right now as a very practical kind of liability. If you can't ask for help clearly, comfortably, and without making yourself small in the process, that's costing you. It could be costing you in job searches. It can be costing you in business. It can be costing you in relationships, all of it. And so I want to talk about why we struggle with this. And I'm going to give you 4 reasons because understanding why we struggle with it can probably help us get closer to making the behavior change possible. So let's start with reason number 1. First of all, as I mentioned earlier, you were conditioned to be the helper, not the help. And this is deep. A lot of women, I would say especially Black women, but we were handed the role early. You got to be the strong one. You've got to be the capable one. You've got to be the big sister. You've got to be the one people come to. You've got to be the one that holds it together. And that role gets reinforced kind of everywhere. It happens at work. It happens at school. It happens in your community. It happens in your culture. And so when you need something, there's like this identity conflict that happens. Asking for help doesn't feel like good. And not only does it feel uncomfortable, it also feels like a betrayal of who you're supposed to be. Like I'm breaking a promise to myself that I made a long time ago, that I'm the person that doesn't need anything. And it made me think about this clip of Issa Rae and Kevin Hart. And I'm sure you can Google this, but he is basically begging her in a conversation to like ask her network when she needs help. And she's like, yeah, I don't know if people really respond to me. And he's like, what are you saying? Like get over your hesitation. Like we've got your back. And I think women have this really bad. It doesn't matter how far you've climbed. It doesn't matter. When we go to look around and say, who could I ask for help? We feel like we don't even have answers. So I want to try to clear that up. The promise that you made to never need anything really wasn't the right promise. It also wasn't a promise that you should have made. It was also probably assigned to you. And I think it's time to let it go. Like, I think we have to let that mindset go. Reason number 2, needing help can feel like evidence or proof that something is wrong with you. And I think if you're a high achieving woman, this is really cutting. And the logic kind of goes a little like this. If I were really good at this, I would already know. If I were really ready, then I wouldn't need someone else's help. If I can't figure it out on my own, then maybe I don't deserve to be here. Okay. Like that's kind of how the narrative sounds. And so we will tell ourselves that this narrative is really us being self-aware. And that's a lie, right? And it sounds like you're being humble, but really you're just scared. You're scared. You don't want to be embarrassed. Factually, some of the most competent people I know are the best at knowing when to ask. Knowing what you need and being able to name it clearly is what real self-awareness and self-possession look like. And in a job market where relationships and referrals move faster than the application process, the ability to ask well is actually a competitive advantage, and we need that competitive advantage right now. Leads me to number 3. When we do ask, we tend to undermine ourselves in the process, and I have this so bad. Again, I am often talking to me in this podcast. I want you to think about the last time you asked someone for something, and not just any something you actually needed. Did you start with, I really hate to ask for this, or I'm so sorry to bother you? Or did you say something like, I know you're probably really busy, before you even touch the point? You spent 3 to 5 sentences justifying why your need was reasonable before you even said it. I am so guilty of this. I undermine my own asks all the time. And truthfully, it ends up sounding like we're barely asking for the thing as much as we are apologizing for actually having a need. And to me, that does 2 things. It signals to the other person that the ask isn't really that serious. And it also tells my own nervous system that like, I don't think I deserve what I'm asking for. I don't think that I should get it. A clean ask without all of that around it should sound more like, here's what I need. Here's why I'm asking you specifically. Here's what a yes would look like. That's it. No preamble, no self-deprecation, no lengthy disclaimer about how you totally understand if they can't do it. And again, I am talking to myself here, not just to you. I am so guilty of this. I have certainly done it, at least in the last 30 days, a few times. You can be gracious and direct at the same time. Amber, you can be gracious and direct at the same time. In fact, I think that combination would actually be more effective than apologizing your way into a request, because to the receiver, it probably sounds like I'm trying to guilt you. Reason number 4 that we're bad at this. An experience, you asked someone, the wrong person, and you got burned for it. And you decided after that asking wasn't safe anymore. I don't want to gloss over the fact that like some of us just stopped asking because someone used our vulnerability against us. Someone made us feel small for not knowing. Someone told our business. Someone said yes and then didn't actually come through with what they were going to do. And we were left feeling embarrassed and exposed. That is a real experience. It is traumatic and hurtful. And it also makes sense that you would register that in your body and go, okay, I'm never doing that again. I'm just not going to do it. But if you've been paying for someone else's failure to support you ever since they told you no, you have been depriving yourself of resources, of support, of connection because of what one or maybe even a few people didn't do well. And that cost is not evenly distributed. You bear it in an ongoing way. All right. You're carrying it every single day. And honestly, the person who told you no or failed you probably isn't even thinking about it at all. Asking badly or asking the wrong person isn't a reason to stop asking. I'm talking to myself here as well. Okay. It's just information. It gives us an opportunity to refine your discernment. Not everyone has earned the right to be in your circle of support, but someone has. And the work is figuring out who that is and allowing your discernment to guide you there. And you get better at being discerning by practicing that. And practicing it also means you actually let them help you. Okay. Because another thing we tend to do is we tend to reject help, but that's another podcast. All right. So here's what I want you to do with all of this. I've given you the 4 reasons that I've kind of observed, and I'm sure there are more, but I want to give you some things that you can do about it and that I'm also working to do about it. And one I'm going to do in this episode. First, do an honest audit. Not a quick mental scan, an actual sit down, pen and paper, type it in your phone, whatever. Where are you right now carrying something that you truly need help with? Not where you think you should be able to handle it, not where you think it's going to be okay, not where it's going to be embarrassing to admit that you're struggling. Where do you truly need support? For some folks, it's the job search. You're applying into the void and you're not asking anyone to make a call or send a note on your behalf. For some folks, it's your business. You need clients, you need referrals, you need someone to say your name in a room that you're not in, and you're not asking for anyone to do that. For some folks, it's personal. You're overwhelmed, with family life, with kids, with, your relationship, whatever, and you haven't told anyone. You got to name it. Write it down if you need to, please. I would love for you to do that. But be honest about what it actually is, okay? Because when we actually are honest with ourselves and we write it down and we look at it, it's real. The second thing that I want you to do is try to make one specific ask this week. Not a vague, hey, if you hear of anything, can you let me know? Folks, don't work like that. It's a great sentence. It's just not a real ask. It's gotta sound more like, here's what I need. Here's why I'm coming to you. Here's what a yes would look like. Here's a copy of my resume. I would love for you to pass it to so-and-so. And before you make the ask, think about who the right person is. Not the person nearest to you, not the person you have the easiest relationship with, the person who has the capacity or the connections or the knowledge to actually help you. And then approach them without a paragraph of self-depreciation and apology before you deliver the point. Sounds easy, very tough, I know. Third, you got to know what to do when the answer is no, because you're going to get a no sometimes. Sometimes people can't, all right? And that's not God or the universe or whomever you believe, source, whatever, telling you that you should not have asked. It is not evidence that you were, wrong to need something. It's just one person in a moment unable or unwilling to help you with this request. Look elsewhere. You do not need to take that data and then turn that no into a verdict on yourself. You do not need to use it as an excuse to go back to trying to figure out everything by yourself. You just treat it as information. Great. This door isn't open. Let me figure out the next one to try. No is an unfortunate part of the process. It is not the end of the process. Okay? So before I let you go, I have to do something. I just spent this entire episode talking about the importance of asking for help, about not over justifying it, not apologizing for it, not waiting until you're desperate to ask for help. And so if I am going to tell you to do that, I have to be willing to do it myself. So here's my ask. I work with organizations of all size and type, all right? Fortune 500 on down, philanthropic, etc. I do keynotes, workshops, facilitated learning experiences focused on communication, human behavior, and what it actually means to build a workplace where people can thrive. Work has been slow as hell. The same political and economic climate that's hitting a lot of us has also hit me. And I am good at what I do. Just like these podcasts, I keep it authentic and I make sure that my clients leave with something they can actually use in the moment. Not just inspiration. I'm going to give tools, language, perspective, things that are going to change how people show up day to day. So if you are in a room with someone who plans events or leads an organization or is looking for a speaker or a facilitator or has some, conference that they're over, I am asking you to say my name. Send them to ambercabral.com. There's a link that says book me up there somewhere. Share this episode. Make an introduction. That's my ask. Clean, specific, no apology attached, no caveats. And I want you to think about how it felt for you to hear me do that. Because that's what a real ask sounds like. You were never supposed to figure out everything alone. Not your job, not your business, not your life, not your family. None of it was designed to be carried solo. And the sooner that we stop treating asking like it's a weakness and start treating it like it is a skill, one that we can practice and refine and use with intention, the better positioned all of us are. So that's the episode. If this one hit close to home, please share it. It helps the podcast immensely. Send it to someone who you think needs to hear it. And wherever you're listening, a rating, 5 stars, goes a long way. All right. I'll see you next week, and I hope you enjoyed the episode.